The financial services landscape in India is changing at a rapid speed as we see new entrants enter the market, GDP continuing to grow and it remaining investors' top choice among emerging markets. So FinTech is big in India, so is this the future of innovation there?
FinTech is big everywhere, and India is certainly agile enough to pay attention to things that are big. The papers, when I read them over there, are full of what happens next because they've recognised that the kind of outsourcing bums on seats model has come to an end. They've got to bring automation, they've got to bring innovation, and they are looking at it all the time. They're searching for it. So I wouldn't quite put them in the copycat mode, but they are certainly staying on the leading edge of FinTech and trying to bring it there so that they can further service their multinational clients.
And does India buy its innovation or is it homegrown?
It's imported, it's done very well. We're not seeing anything particularly innovative. It's just pick up the product, do it a little bit better, do it a lot cheaper, and offer it to the outside world.
So in terms of FinTech products in India, what's most in demand?
What's most in demand is automation. The next phase after we've lowered our costs and we've put the people in India, but now what do we do next? So that's almost long gone now. There's lots of it established, but all of the big players and all of the big companies are seeking to improve their quality of their operations as well as the effectiveness and cost by automating.
Well, one concern when you think about India is, of course, regulation. So when it comes to this kind of product, is regulation a problem?
It's an issue. I wouldn't call it a problem. We treat India very much like we treat Europe. So people make the mistake of thinking Europe is homogenous. It's absolutely not. So there are laws in each country that define the compliance requirements for the service that we do with the electronic invoicing, the early payments, the analytics. And India's pretty much the same. They've got 29, I think, states, and each state has tax raising powers. So each of them has defined their own tax rules and regulations. So with our partners, PwC India, we're talking to each of the states as well as the country tax office to gain compliance, and we're busy on a roadmap to get compliance in the whole country.
And what sort of needs are in India in terms of FinTech?
In India, they've got an interesting opportunity and they're taking it. They haven't got the infrastructure that we all had to go through, so banking infrastructures, the telco infrastructure, they haven't got telephone wires going through every street, so they've leapfrogged and they're taking the mobile technology. And they're arguably better at using mobile technology than we are over here because they don't have any alternative. So they've jumped over that slow hurdle of landline stuff and gone straight for the mobile technology. And you'll see it in the streets. They've all got very smartphones and they're all using them, and that's both the consumer and the business.
A lot of high street banks, of course, are closing in the West. Is this also true of India?
The ability and the willingness and the actuality of using modern mobile devices is stopping any growth in physical banking branches. If you see India physically, it's a complicated place, so putting a bank branch somewhere in a hole in the wall somewhere, you have to be careful about it. Whereas doing your banking online using your mobile devices is absolutely there.
So for foreign investors and companies looking towards India, why go to the country to set up business other than because it's cheap?
Historically, yes. Our first major client out there can be famously quoted as saying the same mess for less. They just took all their operational processes and shoved them in a place where it was a bit cheaper. We've seen over the last 10 to 15 years that particular model being emulated by the likes of Vietnam and China. Now, the fundamental difference there is the educational background, the English-speaking nature of it. When you go to Vietnam, when you go to China, that's much harder. But in India, obviously, it's the common language is English to do with all the local languages. So a great resource in terms of well-educated, English-speaking, culturally not too far away from us, people in India. But it's coming to an end. They're being consumed, they're being redeployed, they'll move job for 10 rupees a week because it's a significant amount of money. So I think that era is over.